This is Richard Brown with Tennessee Livestock Producers. I'd like to welcome you to the Lower Middle Tennessee Cattle Association Video Board Sale, which will be April the 9th, 2020. This offering includes 745 steers, 110 Holsteins, 421 heifers, for a total of 1,276 head. We'd like to welcome you to the sale. Our first lot is Anderson Family Partnership from Manchester, Tennessee. We have 65 steers weighing 825 pounds. The cattle range from 7 1/4 to 975. Cattle are 90% ones, 10% number twos. They're flesh score 5 with a few fours. The cattle were weaned the fall of 2019. Home raised by Angus and Hereford bulls. We got 1 with 3-inch nub horns, 3 pink eye scars, and 1 Popeye. Cattle are on pasture. Hay plus 10 pound of 15% commodity feed with mineral, 1 shot each of Triangle 5, Pyramid 5 plus pre-sponse, and a 7-way blackleg. Cattle were dewormed with sidectin, castrated with a knife. These cattle are to be penned 7 a.m. morning of the way up in a dry lot. Buyers get tare weight by 7, travel 20 miles to farm, and haul to Love's truck stop and weigh on the truck with a 2% shrink. Take a 48 to 50,000 pound load off the heavy end. Our next lot is a consignment from Riverbanks Farm from over in Wartrace, Tennessee. We have 75 steers, base weight 840 pounds. These steers will range from 750 to 975 pounds. They're graded in 85% L&M 1s and 15% L&M 2s. They're a flesh score of 5 with a few 4s on them, 71 black and black baldies, and 4 Charolais cross steers. There will be 3 or 4 head of these showing a quarter ear or less. They were weaned back in January of 2020. They're home raised by Angus, Hereford, and Charolais bulls. Cattle are on hay and wheat baleage plus 8 pound of 16% maximizer and free choice mineral. These cattle have had 1 shot each in the neck of Pyramid 5 plus pre-sponse and also a booster Pyramid 5. They've had 2 shots of Barbeck 7 Somnus blackleg. These cattle were dewormed with upper necks and castrated with a knife. Weigh-up conditions, these cattle will be penned 7 a.m. morning of the weigh-up in a dry lot and weighed on the farm with a 2% shrink. Take a 48 to 50,000 pound load off the heavy end. Our next lot will be a consignment from Johnny Pitcock down in Fayetteville, Tennessee. We have 60 of these good steers weighing 850 pounds. Repeat consigner, these cattle are weighing 750 to 900 pounds, graded 90% 1s, 10% 2s with a flesh score of 5. There are 44 of these good black steers, 9 black baldies, and 7 Charolais crosses. These cattle were weaned back in November of 2019. Good long time weaning on these cattle. These cattle are on pasture and hay plus 20 pounds of corn silage and 10 pounds of commodity blend feed also with an all-purpose mineral with Rumensin. These cattle have had 2 shots of Vision 7 in the neck. They've also had 1 shot of Pyramid 5 plus pre-sponse and boosted with Pyramid 5 also in the neck. These cattle were dewormed with Epernex, castrated with a knife. The weigh-up conditions on these cattle, they'll be penned 7 a.m. morning of the weigh-up in a dry lot. Buyer get tare weight by 7:30 a.m. and travel 30 miles to farm and load and haul to the I-65 exit 22 and weigh on the truck with a 2% shrink. Take a 48 to 50,000 pound load. Our next consignment is a consignment from Davis Farms over in Shelbyville, Tennessee. There'll be 48 plus or minus head of these steers, estimated to average 850 pounds with a weight spread of 800 to 9 1/4. These cattle will be 90% LM1s and 10% LM2s. Flesh score on these cattle will be a 5. There'll be 42 head of these black cattle, 4 black baldies and 2 red baldies. These cattle were put together back in October and November of 2019. The management on these cattle are on hay plus 25 pound of corn silage and a couple of pound of ground shell corn with 1.2 pound of co-op beef concentrate and free choice co-op mineral with Rumensin. These cattle have had 1 shot of Bova Shield Gold 5, Covexin 8, and Multimin 90 in the neck. They were dewormed with long range, castrated with bands, and have had no implants. These cattle will be penned by 7 a.m. the morning of the weigh-up. Cattle will be sorted and hauled 6 miles to Gilmore Livestock and weighed with a 1% shrink by 9 o'clock. Our next consignment is from Mr. Evan Willis in Hillsboro, Tennessee. We have 39 of these good steers, estimated to average 865 pounds. The weight range on this set of cattle is 750 to 950 pounds. The grades on these cattle will be 90% 1s, 10% 2s, with a flesh score of 5. There will be 38 of these good black and black baldy steers and 1 red. They were weaned back in December 2019, and they were home raised by Angus bulls. These cattle are on pasture and hay plus 8 to 10 pounds of corn and distiller's grains and co-op mineral. They've had 2 shots in the neck of Triangle 5 and a 7-way blackleg. These cattle were dewormed and deloused with Epernex. They've had no implants, and they've been castrated with a knife. These cattle will be penned the morning of the weigh-up in a dry lot. Buyers get tare weight by 7 a.m. and travel 15 miles to farm, load and haul to exit 114 on I-24 and weigh on the truck with a 2% shrink. Our next consignment is a consignment from Mr. Ward Pack, longtime consigner from over in Woodbury, Tennessee. He has 60 head of these good steers, estimated to average 875 pounds. The weight range on this set of cattle is 8 1/4 to 9 1/4. These cattle graded 90% 1s, 10% 2s, a flesh score of 5. There's 53 black and black baldy cattle, 5 reds, and 2 Charolais crosses. 10% of these cattle show 1/8 ear or less. These cattle are on pasture and hay plus 10 pounds per head per day of a commodity blend feed. These cattle have had 1 shot in the neck of a Bova Shield Gold 5, Covexin 8, and also Pink Eye. These cattle were dewormed and deloused with Cydectin, and they've also had no implants. These cattle will be penned 7 a.m. the morning of the weigh-up in a dry lot. Buyers get tare weight by 7 a.m., travel 35 miles to the farm, load and haul to Love's, exit 89 on I-24, and weigh on the truck with a 2% shrink. Take a 48 to 50,000 pound load off the heavy end. Our next lot is from a longtime consigner, Mr. Jerry Ray, over in Tullahoma, Tennessee. There's 60 head of these good steers, estimated to average 890 pounds. Estimated weight range is 8 1/4 to 950. The grade on this set of cattle is 95% 1s and 5% 2s, with a flesh score of 5. There's 43 of these good black cattle, 10 Charolais crosses, and 7 reds. 5% of these cattle show 8th ear and these cattle have been tested PI negative. These cattle are PI negative. Cattle are on pasture and hay plus free choice tillage and 2.5 pounds of corn and pro-choice mineral with Rumensin. These cattle have had one shot in the neck of Pyramid 5 plus pre-sponse, a booster of Pyramid 5, and they've also had 2 shots of blackleg Barvac 7 in the neck. These cattle were dewormed and deloused with Epernex, implanted with component in November of 2019, also castrated with a knife. These cattle will be pinned by 7 a.m. morning of the weigh up in a dry lot. Buyers get tare weight and travel 8 miles to the farm, load and haul to Jack Daniel's distillery, and weigh on the truck with a 2% shrink. Take a 48 to 50,000 pound load off the heavy end. Our next consignment is from a good customer, Ingram Farm, down in Mount Pleasant, Tennessee. We've got 55 steers, estimated to average 900 pounds. These cattle estimated range will be 8 1/4 to 975. They'll be 90% number ones and 10% number twos. These cattle will be a flesh score of 5 and 6. There'll be 51 black and black baldies, 3 red baldies, and 1 Charolais cross. These cattle were weaned back in December of 2019. They'll be home raised by Angus bulls. There'll be 3 head with an 8th ear, 1 with 6-inch horns, and 1 with a white spot on its side. These cattle are on pasture and wheat haylage plus 5 pound to 14% co-op feed plus free choice mineral with Rumensin. These cattle have had 2 shots in the neck of Triangle 10 and a 7-way blackleg. They were dewormed and deloused with Ivamec, implanted with Ralgro. Cattle will be pinned by 7 a.m. morning of the weigh up in a dry lot, haul 15 miles to TLP Columbia, and weighed by 9 o'clock on the ground with a 1% shrink. Take a 48 to 50,000 pound load. Our next consignment is from a longtime consigner, Mr. Mark Barker, over in Reedyville, Tennessee. There'll be 58 head of these good steers, estimated to average 900 pounds. The weight range will be 800 to 1,000. These cattle are graded 90% ones and 10% twos. Flesh score of 5 on these cattle. There'll be 44 black and black baldies, 11 Char Cross, 2 reds, and 1 Charolais. These cattle were weaned back in October. 80% of these cattle will be home raised. Cattle are on hay plus 11 pound to 15% performance feed with Rumensin. Be 2 shots each in the neck of Pyramid 5 plus Presponse and Covexin 8. These cattle were dewormed with Sidectin, implanted with Synovex in October of 2019, and castrated with a knife. Cattle will be pinned by 7 a.m. morning of the weigh up in a dry lot. Buyers get tare weight by 7 a.m., travel 20 miles to the farm, and haul to Love's truck stop, exit 89, and weigh on the truck with a 2% shrink. Take a 48 to 50,000 pound load off the heavy end. Our next lot is another consignment from Mr. Jerry Ray again down in Tullahoma, Tennessee. There'll be 60 head of these good steers, estimated to average 920 pounds. The weight range on this set of cattle is 8 1/4 to 975. Grade on this set of cattle is 95% 95% ones, 5% number twos. Flesh score of 5. And the description on this set of cattle is they're 100% black, 100% black-hided, 5% show an 8th ear, and they are PI negative. Cattle have been tested PI negative. Cattle are on pasture and hay plus free choice to silage and 2.5 pound corn and pro-choice mineral with Rumensin. They've had 1 shot in the neck of Pyramid 5 plus Presponse and a booster of Pyramid 5, 2 shots of Barvac 7. Dewormed and deloused with Epernex, implanted with component November 2019, and castrated with a knife. Cattle will be pinned 7 a.m. morning of the way up in a dry lot. Buyers get tare weight and travel 8 miles to the farm, load and haul to Jack Daniel's distillery, and weigh with a 2% shrink. Take a 48 to 50,000 pound load off the heavy end, and they must weigh on a 70-foot scale and no split weighing. Our next consignment is from Whirly Farm, a longtime consigner from Hampshire, Tennessee. We have 55 head of these good steers weighing 925 pounds. The weight spread is 825 to 975 pounds. These cattle graded 90% ones and 10% twos, a flesh score of 5. There'll be 51 head of these black steers, 3 Charolais Cross and 1 red. 10% show 1/8 ear, 2 to 3 with blue eyes, and 1 with no switch on its tail. And also there'll be 3 or 4 of these cattle with 3-inch skirts. Cattle are on pasture and corn silage with 4-pound dried distiller's grains with Bovatec. 1 shot in the neck of Bova Shield Gold 1 shot, Barvac 7 Somnus, and Express 5 HS. These cattle were dewormed with Safeguard, implanted with Encore in February of 2019, and castrated with a knife. Weigh-up conditions on this set of cattle will be penned by 7 a.m. morning of the weigh-up in a dry lot, haul 20 miles to TLP Columbia Livestock Center by 9 a.m. and weight on the ground with a 1% shrink. Take a 48 to 50,000 pound load off the heavy end. Our next consignment, also from a longtime consigner, Mr. John West from West Farm over here in Columbia, Tennessee. There'll be 110 head of these good steers, estimated to average 950 pounds. Estimated weight range is 875 to 1,000 pounds. USDA graded 95% ones, 5% number twos. Flesh score of 5 on this set of cattle. There'll be 95% black and black baldies, 5% red or Charolais Cross. There'll be 5% of these cattle showing 8th ear, 2 with 3-inch nub horns, and a few pink eye scars. These cattle are on pasture and hay plus 12 pound of commodity mixed feed. These cattle had 1 shot in the neck of Enforce 3, Bova Shield Gold 1 shot, and also a booster of Bova Shield. These cattle were dewormed with Dectomax, implanted with Ralgo in October 2019. Cattle will be penned by 7 a.m. morning of the way up in a dry lot, haul 6 miles to TLP Columbia Livestock Center by 9 a.m. and weight on the ground with a 2% shrink. Take 2 48 to 50,000 pound loads off the heavy end. These cattle need to weigh April 13, 14, 16, or 17. Our next lot will be a lot of Holsteins from a longtime consigner, Mr. Arvis Bobo, over in Lynchburg, Tennessee. There will be 110 of these good Holsteins, estimated to average 950 pounds. They'll weigh from 875 to 1,000 pounds. They've graded 85% L2s and 15% L3s with a flesh score of 5. These cattle will be 100% black and white Holsteins. You'll take 2 loads out of 145 head. 2 loads out of 145. Good sort on this set of cattle. Cattle are on pasture and hay plus free choice distillage. They've had 1 shot in the neck of 7-way blackleg, Bova Shield Gold 5, a pink eye, and a new plera. These cattle were dewormed with Normectin and implanted with Ralgro back in December of 19. Cattle will be penned 7 a.m. morning of the way up. Buyer's truck get tare weight by 7 a.m., travel 4 miles to the farm, load and haul to Jack Daniels Distillery, and weigh on the truck with a 2% shrink. You need to take 2 loads off the heavy end, and these cattle must weigh on a 70-foot scale with no split weighing. Our next lot will be a load of heifers from Dustin Pearson up in Gray, Tennessee. We've got 92 head of these good heifers, estimated to average 550 pound. Weight spread on this set of heifers would be 500 to 630 pound. 90% L&M1s, 10% L&M2s with a flesh score of 5. These cattle will be 100% black-hided, 100% black and black bodies. They were weaned in November, December of 2019, and they have been tested PI negative. This set of heifers will also be sorted from 107 head. They'll be guaranteed open. Cattle are on pasture and hay plus 6 to 8 pound per head of corn silage and 4 pound hand-fed 14% co-op feed with Rumensin plus Purina stock or mineral. 1 shot in the neck of Bovashield Gold 1 shot, Enforce 3, and Multimin 90. They've also had 2 shots of Ultrabac 7. These cattle were dewormed and deloused with long range March of 2020, implanted with Ralgro at weaning. Cattle will be penned at 7 a.m. morning of the way up in a dry lot, hauled 20 miles to Kingsport Livestock Market, Kingsport, by 10 a.m. and weighed on the ground straight. These cattle can be preg checked after the weigh up prior to shipment at buyer's expense, 3-day notice required. Take a 48 to 50,000 pound and no Saturday weigh up. Our next lot is from M&W Farm down in Petersburg, Tennessee. We have 68 of these good heifers weighing 750 pound. Weight spread 7 to 800 pound. 90% L&M1s, 10% number 2s. Flesh score of 5. There will be 55 black and black baldies, 5% Charolais crosses, 3 red baldies, 2 reds, 3 Herefords. Guaranteed open. All vet checked on 3/23/2020. 15% have pink eye scars and 25% show 8th ear or less. These cattle are on pasture plus 10 pound to 14% commodity feed and free choice all-purpose mineral with Rumensin. 1 shot in the neck of Triangle 5, Bovashield Gold 5, and Vision 7. These cattle will be penned by 7 a.m. morning of the way up in a dry lot, weighed on the farm scales with a 2% shrink. Take a 48 to 50,000 pound load off the heavy end. Our next consignment is a consignment from Riverbanks Farm over in Wartrace, Tennessee. We have 70 head of these good heifers, estimated to average 760 pound. Weight spread will be 600 to 850 pound. They're graded 90% 1s, 10% 2s, with a flesh score of 5. There will be 60 head of black and black baldies, 8 Char crosses, and 2 red baldies. These cattle were weaned back in January. They were home raised by Angus, Hereford, or Charolais bulls. They are guaranteed open. These cattle are on hay and wheat baileys plus 7 pound of 16% maximizer and free choice mineral. They've had 1 shot each in the neck of Pyramid 5 plus Presponse SQ, boosted with Pyramid 5. They've also had a shot of Ludlice in March of 2020. These cattle have had 2 shots in the neck of Barvex 7 Sominus. These cattle were dewormed with Eprinex. The weigh-up conditions, these cattle will be penned 7 a.m. morning of the weigh-up in a dry lot, weighed on farm scales with a 2% shrink. Take a 48 to 50,000 pound load off the heavy end. Our next lot is a consignment from Mr. Evan Willis over in Hillsborough, Tennessee. We have 44 of these nice heifers, estimated to weigh 835 pounds. The weight range will be 7 1/4 to 9 1/4. They graded 90% ones, 10% twos. Flesh score 5 with a few sixes. There's 41 blacks, 1 red, 2 Charolais crosses. These cattle were weaned back in December. They were home raised by Angus bulls. These cattle are on pasture and hay plus 8 to 10 pounds of corn and distiller's grain and co-op mineral. They've had 2 shots in the neck of Triangle 5 and a 7-way blackleg. They've been dewormed and deloused with Epernecks. These cattle will be pinned the morning of the weigh-up in a dry lot. Buyers get tare weight by 7 a.m. and travel 15 miles to the farm, load and haul to exit 114 on I-24 and weigh on the truck with a 2% shrink. Can be preg checked after the weigh-up prior to shipment at buyer's expense with a 3-day notice. Our next consignment is a consignment of heifers from Mr. John West here in Columbia, Tennessee. This set of heifers, there'll be 60 head of these heifers weighing 850 pounds. Good tight weight spread, 8 to 900 pounds. Graded 95% ones, 5% twos with a flesh score of 5. There'll be 95% black and black baldies, 5% red or Charolais cross. Also a few pink eye scars. These cattle are on pasture and hay plus 12 pound commodity mix feed. 1 shot each in the neck of Enforce 3, Bovashield Gold 1 shot, and boosted with Bovashield Gold. These cattle were dewormed with Dectomax, implanted with a Row Grow in October of 2019. These cattle will be pinned 7 a.m. morning of the weigh-up in a dry lot, hauled 6 miles to TOP Columbia Livestock Center by 9 a.m. and weighed on the ground with a 2% shrink. Take a 48 to 50,000 pound load off the heavy end. These cattle would be available April 23rd or April 24th. Nice set of heifers from Mr. John West. Our next consignment will be a consignment from Mr. Steve Nicholson, again a longtime consigner from over in Lynchburg, Tennessee. Steve's consigned 60 head of these real nice quality heifers, estimated to average 850 pounds. Again, a good tight weight spread, 8 to 900 pound heifers, graded 95% 1, 5% twos with a flesh score of 5. There'll be 54 of these good black and black baldy heifers, 5 reds, and 1 Charolais cross. 1 heifer will show a quarter ear. You'll have an option on that heifer with an extra ear, and they've been tested PI negative. Cattle are on pasture and hay plus 12 pound Oga feed and multi-blend mineral with Remensin. These cattle have had 1 shot in the neck of Pastorella, Titanium 5, Enforce 3, Vision 7, and also a shot of pink eye. These cattle were dewormed with Safeguard and Sidectin. Cattle will be pinned by 7 a.m. morning of the weigh-up. Buyers get tare weight by 7 and travel 15 miles to the farm, load and haul to Jack Daniels, and weigh on the truck with a 2% shrink. These cattle can be preg checked after the weigh-up prior to shipment at the buyer's expense. 3-day notice is required. Take a 48 to 50,000 pound load off the heavy end. They must weigh on a 70-foot scale with no split weighing. Our final lot for the day is from Ingram Farm down in Mount Pleasant, Tennessee. We have 27 head of these nice heifers, estimated to average 875 pounds. Weight spread 800 to 950, graded 95% 1, 5% twos, a flesh score of 5 with some 6s. Description would be 24 black and black baldies and 3 Charolais cross. These cattle were weaned a long time back in December of 2019. They were home raised by good Angus bulls. Cattle are on pasture and wheat haylage plus 5 pound to 14% co-op feed plus free choice mineral with Remensin. These cattle have had 2 shots each in the neck of Triangle 10, a 7-way blackleg. They were dewormed and deloused with Ivomec. These cattle will be pinned by 7 a.m. morning of the weigh-up in a dry lot, Haul 15 miles to Columbia Livestock Center by 9 a.m. and wait on the ground with a 1% shrink. They can be preg checked after the weigh up prior to shipment at the buyer's expense with a 3-day notice required. That concludes our consignments for the day. We appreciate you being on the sale. Thank you.